Everyone, and welcome to the Balanced Bodies Blueprint. I am your host, Vinny Russo.
And I am your co-host, Dr. Erin Stansfield.
And we're shifting gears from all the conventional fitness narrative you hear on most fitness podcasts, as our main emphasis lies in preventative healthcare, adopting a holistic approach to nutrition, and challenging the traditional views on various fitness topics.
Our mission with this podcast is to provide you with the information you need to achieve optimal health.
And on today's podcast, I'm going to be going over one of the most overused excuses in fitness, which is, I just have bad genetics. Now look, genetics, my genetics, your genetics, they're not perfect, right? Maybe you gain fat easier than your best friend. Maybe your legs don't grow like your favorite influencer. And maybe your abs will never look like Ryan Terry's. But when you take a look in the mirror, your habits aren't helping you achieve those results either, right? See, in today's world, people constantly blame their biology before they ever fix their actual behavior. They'll point fingers at their parents. They love pointing fingers at the hormones. They'll say, this is just my body type. Everything else but their actual habits and what they do on a day-to-day basis. So today what I want to do is I do want to validate the significant role that genetics play, but I also want to show you how they are not the end-all be-all deciding factor on your overall health, on what you could look like within your body. I mean, there is a ceiling, there is a limit, but where you stand right now is probably not your full potential, right? And then also your quality of life. And the reason why I could say this is because I've seen it firsthand, right? I've had clients that swore that they had bad genetics, and we took them and we completely changed their bodies, which therefore improved their health. And then they also got very confident, which created a better quality of life for them. So I've seen it firsthand. I've experienced it. And this is why I want to put this podcast together, because don't just blame the hand that was dealt to you. All right, what are you going to do with that hand? So let's start this conversation off by giving genetics the respect they deserve, because genetics will influence things. They'll influence things like your muscle insertion, which will determine what they look like. Like if you look at me, my tricep has a very long tendon, so it'll never be huge. No matter how strong they get, it'll never be huge. It doesn't attach really, like if I flex it, there's a lot of space and it's up high. It doesn't go down to my elbow. You don't see it popping out by my elbow. You have the one head that's down by the elbow that you can see, but it's skinny, and that's due to my genetics. The way your body fat is distributed along your body, right? That is due to your genetics, your metabolic efficiency, and even your hormonal environment. All of these things, they can make it easier or they can make it harder for you when you compare it to someone else, right? And that should be okay. Like, to be honest, the way that I'm looking at it is the person who has the harder time to get lean and to stay lean, they will actually develop more character along the way than someone who has it easy, right? Because they need more discipline. They need more planning. They need to be in longer deficit phases. They have to go through more of a struggle, right? And so what happens over time is they develop a stronger character. They develop a more willed mindset. And I just think those people benefit more because of the hardship that they have to go through compared to someone that just has it pretty easy. And here's where I see a lot of people go wrong when it comes to their genetics. They use it as this endpoint, right? It's this endpoint instead of using it as a starting point. They say, like, my genetics make it too hard for me to achieve X, Y, and Z. Or, well, look, I'll never look like that person. And then they just stop there. They don't do anything because they shame themselves, right? They talk their thought on themselves is so negative, they don't even put forth an effort to be positive. And what needs to happen is it needs to shift from, why don't I look like them, to how can I make what I have look great, right? Because every body is different. Every metabolism, bone structure, every the concentration of muscle fiber types within each individual, the hormonal rhythm, right? Like we have the same basics, right? But how those are expressed and the concentration of those will all be different amongst the individual, okay? So when you're constantly comparing yourself to others, like Instagram influencers, you're going to rob yourself of the progress you could have had because you're just going to quit. You're going to look at them and be like, man, I wish I was like that. And you just sit there and you just wish. And that's wishing without action is just wishing. So there is a quote, right? And it calls comparison the thief of joy, which I believe is 100% true. Because imagine how great you would feel knowing that you optimized your own health. You brought your body to the best that it could look. Instead of sitting there and saying, I did everything I can and I still don't look like fucking Brad Pitt from Fight Club, right? You can't swap your cards in life. You can't. So you can't swap your cards with Brad Pitt. But what you could do is you could play the hand that you were dealt like a professional. Okay? You may not have been dealt those pocket aces genetically, but blaming the dealer won't win the game. Learning the rules, studying your hand, and playing it smart definitely will help you in chances of winning that game. And that leads us into what we do on a day-to-day basis, into our habits, right? Right now, I'm in the process of building my dream home with my wife. And I thought of this analogy today while I was figuring out what I wanted to talk about. And the analogy goes like, if your genetics is your budget, the habits are the architect. See, your budget is what you have to work with. Same thing like your genetics. That's what you got to work with. That's what you got. All right? And the architect is the thing that can use the budget to make the most beautiful house that the budget allows. Right? And that's your habits. Your habits will allow you to create the best version of yourself. Okay? See, you can have the best genetic potential in the world, but if your habits suck, you'll never know what you could have been. I actually had a few TikTok videos go somewhat viral a few years ago because there was this Olympic decathlon competitor that kept showing himself eating whatever he wanted. He kept saying, no matter what, as long as you train hard enough, you could eat anything you want. Anything. That goes from pizza, burgers, burritos, whatever you want. And so my videos was I'm calling him out. And I'm like, dude, like I referred to his genetics. And to be honest with you, if you're an Olympic athlete, you have really good genetics. And how that type of training, if you're an Olympic athlete, that type of training is nowhere near what the normal person is, all right, and what they train. And then how that message is also bad for the majority of us out there, especially with that type of platform. You're an Olympic athlete, you have a bunch of people following you. You got to preach good messages. You can't just say that shit because people are going to follow you and you're going to put them in a worse position. Because we all know you cannot outwork a bad diet, right? Just because someone has really good genetics and they could get away with more than the other person, in time, man, that stuff can catch up, right? And so what I did is I kind of threw a question at him, and I was like, look, as good as you are, you're an Olympic athlete who doesn't really focus on their nutrition or take care of themselves. What are you leaving on the table? Imagine what you could be if you took your nutrition seriously. Yes, you need a ton more calories because of, number one, you're a lean individual. You look like you naturally stay lean, so you probably burn through calories a little bit quicker than other people. And the amount of training you do is probably insane. So yes, you are going to need some calorie-dense food items to make sure you hit those calories. But what if you took the majority of your diet and had that nutrient density and you focused on your peri-workout nutrition and you optimize your nutrition? How good of an athlete could you have been, right? It's like I hear those Ocho Cinco, or was it Ocho Cinco? Or was it DJ Metcalf? These are NFL wide receivers where they're like, I eat McDonald's, or I just have, candy, right? I just like to eat candy. And it's like, all right, cool. Like you are genetically gifted to look the way you look and to be that athletic individual that you are without even taking nutrition into account. Imagine if you did. Where would you be? And it's kind of like, it's almost like a slap in God's face a little bit, right? It's like you got all the potential in the world. You got all these genetics to where you're better than people without even taking care of your nutrition. Imagine if you did take care of your nutrition. So anyway, we went back and forth a little bit. And then he wound up saying at one of his last videos, involving me, was that he actually misspoke. And he should have said X, Y, and Z instead of saying what he said. And it was really the message that I was trying to get him. Like, dude, you got too many people to follow you. You can't just say stupid shit. Like, get your shit together. And I respected it. And then I rooted for him. during the Olympic trials. I even sent him a message, and I was like, hey, man, saw you on TV. Really rooting for you. Hope everything works out well. But yeah, so that's one side of the coin, but it goes the other way too, right? You can also have what you call bad genetics, but if your habits are dialed in, you're going to outperform 95% of the people. Like, just think about it. Your genetics, they define your upper limit of your potential. They give you your ceiling, but your habits define how close you get to that ceiling. That means things like how consistent are you with your nutrition? When you train, how's your intensity? How's your frequency? How's your form? When you focus on recovery, are you focusing on quality of sleep? Are you focusing on hydration? Are you trying to manage your stress? When you talk to yourself, and this is pretty big, are you negative or is there self-belief? And do you allow yourself some patience, right? And these are all levers you control every single day. And what's crazy is that, like, when you start really focusing on those habits and you start optimizing yourself, you actually begin to change how your genes express themselves. And this is called epigenetics, which is the study of how, like, your environment and your habits, how they influence what genes get turned on and turned off, which is pretty cool. And that's like a whole nother episode that I would bring Dr. Aaron on to discuss. But your genes matter, right? But your choices decide how those genes are going to show up. And that's the real power that I feel most people actually ignore. But to further emphasize my point for this podcast, let me share like some of my experience with clients, because over the years I've worked with, like I said earlier, clients who told me, like, hey, Vin, I just don't have good genetics. Like, it's okay if I don't get there. I'm like, whoa, let's try this out first before you jump to that conclusion. Or my whole family's overweight. It's just, how we are. Time after time, dealing with those types of clients, those same people became the actual proof that habits can rewrite your destiny. I had one client. She was, in her mind, like, really overweight. I was just to say she was a little bit overweight, but she just really didn't like the way she looked, and she believed her metabolism was broken, because this was during the time where, like, metabolic damage was like a thing, and she was like, I'm broken. And it turns out, she was eating literally on a good day about 1,000 calories. And that was Monday through Friday during the days that she worked. She was very, very strict there. On weekends, she would binge. Friday night came, it went out with her friends, drinking, which led to Saturday, which was eating whatever you wanted, going out again. And then Sunday, some days, she would go and out with her friends again. So you're drinking, 2 to 3 days out of the week every week. Your sleep during the weekend is absolute shit, and you're starving yourself throughout the week. So when we were helping her, we didn't change her genetics. We don't have that ability, but we changed her behavior. We built a consistent nutrition plan. We basically added some calories in, and she was losing weight on eating more. We optimized her sleep, because that was a big thing with her, because she did, besides like having low calories, her sleep sucked. And we took her quality of life experiences, like the 2 to 3 nights that she would go out drinking, we actually brought it down to 1. And we just let her choose that day and then stay consistent with that day every week. And her day was Saturday night. But Sunday she got back on track, and that was the goal. Like, it was to change her behavior and start building those habits. Over time, when she wound up leaving us, she lost over 40 pounds. And to this day, I still follow her on Instagram. She still follows me. We still communicate here and there. She's still keeping it off, right? And it's funny, because I still remember, like, one of the main things she said, like, when she was leaving, it was, she didn't have it in her video testimonial. I wish she did, but she said it to me privately, and she was like, I finally, like, appreciate my body. It's not because it's perfect, but it's because of mine and what I created. And I know if she's listening to this podcast, she knows who she is. But that stayed with me, because it's true, right? And that was such a beautiful thing to say. Like, you appreciate your body not because it's in your mind perfect, but it's because it's yours and it's unique, and you have the ability to mold it to the potential that it has. And to me, that's what it's all about. It's not creating someone else's version of fit. It's creating the best version of you. So when you actually stop fighting your genetics and you start cooperating with them, for lack of a better term, you actually unlock the best body that you can get. And to me, that's extremely powerful, right? But the thing is like, how do we actually get there? Well, you can't build new habits with the same mindset that created the old habits, right? So there needs to be a shift. There needs to be a shift that happens, that goes literally from like, I resent my genes to I appreciate my genes. So instead of saying something like, why did I get stuck in this body? I need you to start asking yourself, what can I do to make this body the best it's ever been? You don't get to choose your cards, but you do get to choose how to play those cards you're dealt. And you can take the option of folding and then blaming the dealer for being a bad luck dealer and, just playing the victim there. Or you can learn the game. You could study your hand, know the situations around you, and start winning small hands every day, because those wins add up, and those are your habits. Those habits done over and over on a consistent basis, those small little things add up over time and will give you what you desire over the long period. And the truth is, when you start to respect yourself, that's not built through results. That's built through your effort. You will start to appreciate yourself. You'll start to trust yourself. You'll know that when you say something, you will follow through, and that's integrity. And that builds your self-respect for yourself. And the more you respect yourself, the better you're going to want to treat yourself. So it goes hand in hand, right? Every time you show up for yourself, your identity will shift. And you stop seeing your body as like this limitation, and you start seeing it as like this vessel for growth, for lack of a better term. And that's when you stop chasing genetic perfection and you actually start chasing personal mastery, right? So let me leave you with something that's just a little bit more philosophical. It's just, when I was trying to put this together, I know how this can resonate with a lot of people. And I just wanted to really hit on a deeper level. So I was trying to figure out ways to make it seem like, to make it stick with you. Okay. So in life, we're all given the same raw materials, just in different concentrations, right? Some people get more marble than they do granite, and then they do wood. Some people get more granite than they do wood, and no marble, and some people just get all wood, right? But the true craftsman doesn't complain about the material. The true craftsman learns how to carve beauty out of whatever he's given. So you could take that high concentration of wood and a little bit of marble and make something extraordinary out of it. And the goal isn't to look like someone else's sculpture. The goal is to be the masterpiece your genetics allow you to be. Because when you stop blaming your genes and start owning your habits, you stop being a victim of biology and you start being a participant in your own evolution. Okay? See, your genetics, they're not your destiny. Your daily decisions are your destiny. So the next time you look in the mirror and you start to criticize yourself, I want you to just stop and just ask yourself, well, am I blaming the dealer here? Or am I finally learning how to play my hand? Because once you play your best hand, you might realize you were holding the winning cards all along. So that's it. That's all I got for you today. Dr. Erin will be on the next 2 podcasts that we put out there. So excited to have her back on and throw her knowledge at you. And we will be having a guest. So we're bringing the guests back on as well. So I believe that is our next episode. So we will see you all then. So on behalf of Balanced Bodies, we just want to say thank you for joining us on this episode of the Balanced Bodies Blueprint.
We are committed to bringing valuable content. And if you enjoyed today's episode, we'd greatly appreciate it if you can take a moment and like it and leave a 5-star review.
On Apple, just go to the show, scroll down to the bottom and rate it there. If you're on Spotify, go to the show's page, click the 3 dots, and you can rate it there as well.
And if you believe in the power of knowledge, share this episode on your social media to try and get the information out there to as many people as possible.
And as you navigate your own path towards better health, remember that Balanced Bodies is forever in your corner. See you all next week.
podcast content may include discussions of medical topics and health-related information. However, the information provided should not be considered exhaustive or complete, and it should not be relied upon as a substitute for professional medical advice or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare providers with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment.